how we can derive the aggregate demand curve by following the monetarist view. We are interested to know that how the modern quantity theory of money generates the aggregate demand curve. Suppose we have the aggregate output in trillions of 1996 dollars and the price level in 1996 having a value of 1. So with a predicted velocity of 2, because we can say that the value of velocity is predicted and this value is 2. And suppose the money supply is $1 trillion. So what is the value of aggregate spending? $2 trillion. Now, if the price level is given at 2, I mean to say that if we increase the value of price 2, so the quantity of aggregate output demanded is $1 trillion because aggregate spending then continues to equal to 2 multiply $1 trillion, and this is equal to $2 trillion. So this combination is given at point A, or simply you can see from here, if suppose the value of M is equal to 1000 and V is equal to 2, what is the value of P multiply Y? 2 multiply 1000, we can get the value of the nominal spending $2000. Look at this figure. We have the aggregate output which we denote by the symbol M, and we are measuring the aggregate output in trillions of 1996 dollars. And similarly, on the vertical axis we have the aggregate price level which is denoted by the symbol P, and the price level is also in 1996 is equal to 1. It means that in this particular year the value of the aggregate price level or price index is 1. As we know that we can predict the value of the velocity of money, and we are assuming this value 2. Suppose the money supply is $1 trillion. M is equal to $1 trillion. So what is the value of aggregate spending? Very simply, $2 trillion. Suppose if the price level is 2, so the quantity of aggregate demanded is 1 trillion. Why? Because aggregate spending P multiply Y then continues to equal to multiply $1 trillion, and which is equal to $2 trillion. So this combination of a price level of 2 and aggregate output of 1 is marked at point A. Now suppose if the price level is 1, if P is equal to 1, so aggregate output demanded is 2 trillions. So we can get point B where P is equal to 1 and aggregate output is equal to 2. So we can say that the aggregate spending continues to equal to $2 trillion. Now suppose if price level is 0.5, then the quantity of output demanded rises to $4 trillion. So if P is equal to 0.5, Y is equal to the value of aggregate output, PY is equal to $4 trillion. So we can get point C. Now if we join these 3 points, point A, point B, and point C, so we can get the aggregate demand curve. The curve connecting these points, point A, point B, and point C, is marked AD1. Actually, this is the aggregate demand curve. Given a money supply of $1 trillion, we didn't change the value of money. We are just changing the value of the price level, and we are getting different values for the aggregate output. So very simply, we are keeping constant the value of M. The value of money supply is fixed, which is $1 trillion, and we are just changing the value of the aggregate price level. So we are getting different values for aggregate output. You can see that the slope of this aggregate demand curve AD1 has a downward slope. This downward aggregate demand curve indicates that as the price level falls, the quantity of output demanded rises. That's why the slope of the aggregate demand curve is downward from left to the right. But we are keeping other factors constant. For example, we are keeping the supply of money as constant, and we are just changing the aggregate price level from 2 to 1 and from 1 to 0.5. So we are just changing the aggregate price level, and we are getting more value for the aggregate output level. That's why the aggregate demand curve is a downward sloping curve.